Hello and welcome to the Midweek Check-in. It's really good to see you. This check-in is currently used as a preparation for the coming Sunday message, which is Transfiguration Sunday. We know the stories, they come round every year, but the reason we revisit is to go deeper, to see more, to re-examine what we think we know. Wisdom is not the ability to retain and recall lots of information and facts like a mastermind. It's the skill of staying humble so that new ideas and principles can be more easily assimilated. A child's mind is like a sponge. It's desperate for new knowledge, which is why a child learns quickly. As we age, our brains ossify, and we're less able and less willing to accept new information. A know-it-all doesn't need to accept new information because he knows it all. Notice the gender there. And even though nobody likes a know-it-all, all of us are less eager to assimilate new learning than was once the case. As mentioned last week, a child that's willing to hang upside down from the settee will be able to offer a new view of the world. World-weary souls aren't interested in a different take, but Jesus commends the child precisely because humility allows a new vision without judgment and fear. The Transfiguration was definitely a new vision of Jesus that had to be assimilated without judgment and fear. As mentioned last June in the Theophanies Midweek Check-in, like all good activist salvationists, Peter was desperate in the moment to do something. When faced with the unspeakable, glorious, unfiltered majesty of God, the best response is flat on your face adoration, not, "Ooh, let's do a building project." Verse 5. Peter said to Jesus, "Rabbi, it is good for us to be here. Let us make 3 tabernacles, one for you, one for Moses, one for Elijah." For he did not know what to answer, for they became terrified. Headless chicken Christianity is the exact opposite of the model suggested last Sunday. Jesus balanced the being with the crowds and withdrawing to pray to great effect. The vertical and horizontal aspects, otherwise known as worship and service, are both required. We talked about a synergistic relationship, about the way that doing one reinforces the effect of the other. But I fear that activists will still need more persuasion. Why do we have to spend time worshipping God when there's so much to do? People don't say this out loud, but our lifestyles betray this bias. If we logged the time spent with Jesus versus the time spent working for Jesus, how do you think that graph would look? We shouldn't have to argue the case for Christians to spend more time with Jesus, but let's just pretend we do need a nudge in that direction. I want to propose that double vision would help us to want to spend more time in worship. The midweek check-in has to start with a wacky proposition just so you can say, "Wait a minute, that don't sound right." As mentioned, it's a preparation for Sunday, so if we allow these wacky ideas to just be for a day or two, then the message on the Sunday will maybe make more sense. Double vision might be associated with getting a whack on the head and the discomfort that follows, a headache and 2 separate images that won't conform and coalesce into one 3-dimensional image that our brains are used to. In this scenario, double vision is a bad thing that must be rectified. It's a hindrance to business as usual, and readjustment is necessary. The double vision I'm referring to is not only a desired state, it's a necessary prerequisite for the balanced Christian. As stated already, a balanced Christian is one who serves and worships, who works at both the vertical and horizontal aspects of faith. The vertical aspect of faith is transcendence. The horizontal is being with others. Good Christians need to practice the art of having two visions simultaneously without getting dizzy. What's vision one? Vision one is normal vision. Christians need to be in the world. We have to be with others so we can respond appropriately to needs. Rationality is the name of the game here. Common sense, logic, call it what you will. It's the place we're all comfortable with because everyone experiences it. The rationally experienced world is vision one. Without really thinking about it, comfort and fear are the drivers here. We want a good life, which means staying out of danger and doing nice things. But for those existentialists out there, doing nice things and staying out of danger just isn't enough. Why are we here? Is the purpose of this whole cosmos just so that I can enjoy life? Isaiah 22. Let us eat and drink, you say, for tomorrow we die. It's not enough. We know this instinctively, which is why we cry from the heart, at times of spiritual heartache and despair, there must be more to life than this. Well, as you know, there is vision 2, transcendence. Knowing there's more to life than our rational faculties can appreciate is demonstrated in Mark 9. Verse 2, Jesus took Peter, James and John up on a high mountain by themselves. While they watched, Jesus' appearance was changed. His clothes became shining white, whiter than any person could make them. Then Elijah and Moses appeared to them, talking with Jesus. It's hard to get in the zone, to appreciate fully this experience without actually being there. We know the story. We've heard it many times. The familiarity means that the transcendence described is hard to grasp. But vision 2, transcendence, the worship zone, has to be a frequently visited place, an oft repeated experience. Again, children are far more facile with transcendence. They're able to move between reality and an enchanted world easier because they practice. But even in that description, words don't get us there. When we talk about such imagination, it's as if we describe a world that doesn't exist but we wish it did. Transcendence goes further still. Even when we employ our wildest imaginings, it's still our rational mind that's in control. Transcendence is when we let go of control and let God take over. This is peace that passes understanding. The peace that God gives is trans-rational. It defies logical explanation. The paradox is that transcendence is the only way to see what is really real. When the boys saw Jesus transfigured, they weren't watching a party trick. They were seeing their mate Jesus as he really is. One day, the stuff that we construe as reality now, the world that we know of atoms and of time and of physical substance, will fall away. It will be no more. And all that's left will be what Peter, James and John saw that day on the mountain. Vision 2 is the really real. It's the only real that'll last. Revelation 21. Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away. Now, as Christians, don't you think it might make sense to be at home with the transcendent Jesus? To get real with the really real is the best way to put our service into context. The serving and suffering we do for Jesus makes perfect sense in the light of the transcendent glory of Jesus. Without that light, it's going to mean we'll get weary too easily and worn out in our attempts to be like Jesus. We are truly blessed with access to the transcendent, but we need to practice. Revel in John Oxenham's words and give space for God to speak in accents clear and still.